to come on to the dais. So Anupam will give us a brief on the 2 days happening. So we have a lot of learnings, and it was a great initiative that we continue this legacy of the CSR conference which we've started a few years ago. So Anupam, I request you to kindly sum up the day 1 and the day 2 sessions as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirti. Respected Srimati Vinita Singhania ma'am, Shrivat Singhania sir, Shri Anuj Kathuria sir. I think Deepa ma'am is, she is on the way. What ma'am has actually mentioned, that you have to spice it up. And I was just wondering how to put spice on the recap. So this is what actually has been a big task for me. But anyway, I'll try first of all to keep all of you awake. And one thing I have just tried, I am actually going to make a presentation. So how many of you might be saying कि boss ये क्या हो गया फिर से presentation तो full day they were going on. But anyway, what all you presented, again actually I'll be presenting. But in case you feel that there has to be anything to be added, so please, you are feel free to do that. I think this is okay. Yeah. Ma'am, actually this conference, as you know, that it was started yesterday. And if I have to sum up the whole conference in 3 sentences, so it will be like that. First of all, we have got the guidance from our seniors, and it's really heartening that Varita ma'am, Shrivat sir, Anuj Kathuria sir, they are also here to guide us further. So the guidance which we have got from our top management, from our seniors, those points we are going to take it up further. And I think in the next conference, whenever we are, so that time we'll be letting you know that what all we have done in the last 1 year. Something very, very important, there has been a very renowned speakers also, external speakers, and they have shared us very good thing about that, how the CSR is being there has been very good sessions about that. And something very, very important which has happened, that about the cross learning. I was really overwhelmed to see that so much work is happening. Ma'am, let me put this thing this way. If JK Paper is working very good on the supply chain management, there are so many good things which are being done. On water, such a wonderful work that is being done. On Lakshmi Cement part, so much actually on the livelihood part. On entrepreneurship development part. JK Tire, though I know, but still I can mention a lot of things we are actually implementing on water conservation, something we have also done on entrepreneurship development. So those things, and I think these things, everyone is going to be, once we have seen that how they are being implemented, so we can actually also copy paste them, or we can actually, depending on that, how we can improvise them, and then we can use same projects in our areas. So that would be one thing. Few points I would just like to highlight, because yesterday when Shri HPS sir was here, few things he has very much emphasized. That first of all, there has to be impact assessment, because until and unless we are going to measure that what is happening, perhaps we cannot manage it. So that is something very important. Second thing, he talked about the partnerships and how we can actually, these partnerships could be used for scaling up our projects, and how we can actually enhance our outreach. So that was the second one. Third one, he also emphasized about the technology and digitization part, and this will make our CSR more holistic. And he has also emphasized very much over the employee volunteering part as well. So these 4 points. While Shri Prem Singh sir, he was also here in the inauguration ceremony, and he also mentioned about ESG. We also had a very good session on ESG today itself and employee volunteering part as well. While Sanjeev Jha, he mentioned or emphasized more on CSR next decade, and some very interesting data point he has put up, that how the things are going across in the country and challenges, and something very important, that how what the opportunities are lying for the JKO in this changing scenario, changing landscape. And also Kapil Kaul sir, because he mentioned about the group company brochure and also very interesting data point which have been put up by him. It's a long list, but I'll just actually take few important points, because what was given to all of us, all the plants, units, they have made their presentations, and it was asked to them that you have to focus on 2 to 3 main activities. So I just tried to sum up them. Like JK paper, they have been very nicely, they have presented about the livelihood and livelihood ecosystem part, the partnerships which they have forged with the agencies like NABARD, with the government, so they have been emphasized a lot. JKLC Sirohi, something very important, the library in community, something which can definitely, all of you might have appreciated that how that thing is being done. Agriculture and livestock development project which is being done there, and the vocational training center. So these were the few key highlights when JKLC Sirohi has presented. While in case of JK Fenner, the automobile forklift drivers and AC technician, and something was very astonishing, and this actually Mr. Janardhan has explained later, that how he is in a position to secure 85% or about 100% placement of these people who are getting trained. So that has been one eye-opener for all of us and a great learning for all of us. Something he has also been sharing about, that they are actually in way of planning a project on the transgenders upliftment. That is also really a great thing. Then about the Vikrant tire plant, where they have focused more on, there is one interesting project which is being implemented, that the skill development for the prison inmates, and that project is being implemented in the Mysore Central Prison. That has been one interesting, and something about the water conservation based initiatives as well. While one of the expert, Ms. Manju Menon, she has actually, she is CEO of New Socia organization. She has talked about the importance of SROI, that is the social return on investment. And because all the business leaders, they are here, so perhaps they understand this language in a, I think in a better way, that ROI or SROI, what we call. So that is actually in a very applied and practical part, they have been discussed by her. And that has been a great learning. And I think many of the presentations which have come up later, they have actually mentioned about SROI. So this is what actually I can say, that this the presentation which was made, how successful it was and how well appreciated by all the participants here. While other units like JKLC Surat, they have focused more over the skill development for women project. CPM JK paper, livelihood-based activities, they have been emphasized. Water conservation activities, that how they are being implemented. While in JKLC Durg, the small enterprise, their focus on the small enterprises development, that was really commendable. While the usage of excess water from the mines, how that is actually being utilized for the welfare of the people, how actually that is enhancing the water level. So these things have been discussed. While UCW, they have focused more on maize cultivation. That was again where actually the productivity has been doubled through our intervention, and that is really remarkable, I must say. The veterinary infertility health camps, and there was one more very important data point which has come up, that in that area it is around more than 40% livestock, they are having issues related to infertility. And in case we are in a position to work for them, that's a great service to the nation, I can say. While UDL Gajrola, they focused more on SHGs and how they are transitioning towards women, how they have transitioned towards forming a women FPO, this farmer producer organization in Amroha and Muradabad area, beekeeping, fishery, poultry, etc., all those activities, and how a whole ecosystem of the things that has been created in that. So that has been well appreciated by everybody, and how these activities are actually directly being linked with the business sustainability. That was also one key point to take it home. While JK Agri, the JK Sathi, were seed to harvest support to the farmers during the pandemic time, that was actually very nicely put up by Kirti. The farmers training part, actually what they are implementing, that has also been really great. While JKLC Jharli, the livelihood enhancement part, women empowerment, and the Savera school for differently abled children. They have been a few very good case studies which have been presented by them, and definitely they are worth learning that how can we also replicate them in our areas depending on the similar conditions. While CTP, Chennai Tire Plant of JK Tire, they focus more on desilting, deepening and renovation of the water tank. How this sustainable RO plants, they are being managed, and how they are helping the local communities, because here the overall management, now that has been taken over by the local communities. So these points. While CIL JK Tire, they have recently started their CSR activities, but they are focusing more over health camps, career counseling, and then PSRI, I think the newest entrant into this, because first time they are participating in this CSR conference. They have also mentioned about the awareness on health issues and Project Green environment, and there has been a lot of questions actually from them that why don't you participate with us, because when we are implementing, because all the companies who have presented, whether it is JK Tire, JKLC, JK Fenner, all of them are having health as one important category. So in case we have in-house expertise with us, so why not we can take their help in actually formulating our programs, or in case they can help us in making those programs more robust, better ones, and enhancing our outreach in the rural areas. While day 2, if I just suggest, tell about Kankroli Tire Plant, they have started with floriculture and water conservation. These are the two major initiatives which are actually being implemented. JKLC Kalol, this interesting, very interesting nomenclatures they have, like Ambu Lakshmi, Dhan Lakshmi, Anna Lakshmi. So that has been really, I think praised by everybody. And this Jhola library thing, that has also been very, that was standing out from others. While Banmore Tire Plant, they have this livestock development project. They have worked on cattle breed improvement that has been quite successful, and now that has also been scaled up with the help of the NABARD. So that has been discussed in detail. While JKLC Cuttack, this COVID support and the TB Mukt scheme, how they are being implemented, they have been. Then there has been a very interesting exercise. And here perhaps I think all the members, they have actually in full way, they have participated and shared their views. And perhaps ma'am, in the form of a report, those things will also be shared with you, that what the findings have come out, because all the participants, they were subdivided into the 6 groups. And all the groups, they were given these themes, and based on that they have given few points, and those points have been documented and will be shared in the report, like employee volunteering, branding and visibility building, and these all the points. Then it was a session by Mr. Nikhil Pant. He is a founder and partner Lakshya. And perhaps this session has, because this was very much dealing with the CSR law and the changing landscape, so it has actually stirred the whole, this hall, because everybody wanted to ask the questions, because there are so many, so much curiosity about this, okay, if the rule has changed this, then, because in the last, from after 2014, there has been so so many changes in the CSR laws. So actually how they are impacting us. So all these things, they have been discussed. And then Dr. Praveer Deshmukh, Senior Counselor, CII, he shared about the ESG, because in recent time, there has been very much focus over the ESG related issues. And again, a lot of questions and very interactive session that has been. So it is all about in the last 2 days, what all actually we have gone through. And with this, I'm just finishing my thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupam. I think it was 10 minutes, but you have excellently captured the complete event happenings. Thank you. Most welcome. Now, I request Srimati Vinita Singhania, Madam, VC and MD JK Lakshmi Cement, to come over to the dais, please. I request Mr. Jagdish, Head HR and IR, VTP JK Tire, to extend the planter to Madam, please. Madam, please be seated. I now request Srimati Deepa Gopalan Vadwa, Independent Director, JK Paper, to kindly come over to the dais, ma'am. I request Mr. Rajesh Biswal from JK Paper to come over and extend the planter to Madam. Please make yourself comfortable, ma'am. Now I request Sri Anupam Bajpai ji from CSR JKTL. Oh, I'm sorry. Anupam, I'm very sorry. Sorry, my apologies. Now I request Sri Anuj Kathuria ji, President JK Tire and Industries, to kindly come over to the dais. And I request Mr. Bharadwaj, DGM CSR JKLC, to hand over the planter to sir. I now request Shri Srivastav Singhania ji, Director UCW, to please come over to the dais. I request Mr. Panchali to please come and hand over the sapling to sir. Thank you. So thank you. Now I request Shri Anuj sir to kindly address all of us. We look forward to hear from you.
Respected Vinita ji, respected Srimati Deepa ji, Srivats ji, and other members on the dais, and a very good afternoon to all my colleagues from the JK organization. It's a great pleasure for me to be here amongst you. It's an opportunity to meet once again with some of you whom I have met earlier, but more importantly, I also get an opportunity to meet many of you for the first time. It's great to see that, we are having this conference, as I can see, this is the 5th intercompany CSR conference. So it gives me a lot of confidence, since I am relatively new to the organization, that, even CSR is getting the right attention, and I will also have a lot of things to contribute, at the same time, a lot of things to learn from all of you. So don't mistake me, I'm not here this afternoon to preach to the Pope, because all of you have been getting a lot of inputs over the last 2 days. Anupam, thank you for the great summing up. It gave me a basic understanding of what has happened during the last 2 days. But let me also try to add my 2 cents, since I have also been in the industry, worked with large organizations, where CSR was also having its own importance. But let me start by talking about what happened somewhere around 2013, when, through a Companies Act, the CSR suddenly was taking center stage in the country. This act transformed the CSR vertical from being one isolated entity to becoming a mainstream department in many of the organizations. And some of them are still following, but most of the organizations have now started working on CSR very, very differently from the past. Especially in the Indian context, sufficient facts are available about how legacy business conglomerates, including our own JK organization, have been engaged in helping local communities, building schools, developing hospitals, and many more. But in the past, the CSR activities had a flavor and were heavily inclined towards being called as charitable deeds. But now, in more recent times, we have seen a much greater emphasis on sustainability through sustainable and project-based CSR interventions. So this is something which is relatively more recent, but what I experience and what I see is that it is catching up very fast. So in the present context, corporate social responsibility is the practice of integrating social and environmental goals into business operations. And I'm sure in the session which Mr. Prem Singh would have had on ESG, he would have covered a lot of this. But let me also take this opportunity to congratulate the whole organization and the organizing team of this conference for choosing such an important and relevant theme. The theme of the conference, stakeholders, collaborations, and impact. So this is definitely very, very key and very important. All these terms, whether it is stakeholders, collaborations, and impact, have their own importance in making this CSR effort more holistic and also more sustainable. And this helps us create a win-win ecosystem that goes a long way to get the community and the industry to work closer together. So I will try to give you a brief, insight from my side into what on the 3 themes of the conference, which is stakeholders, collaboration, and impact. So let me start by talking about stakeholders. So it's a proven fact that CSR plays a larger role in enhancing the stakeholder satisfaction. And I'm happy to share that at JK Tyres, we are celebrating the year 2023 as the year of enhancing stakeholder satisfaction. So every year we take a theme. This year the theme is the year of enhancing stakeholder satisfaction. And when I say stakeholders, it covers all stakeholders across the board. Multiple studies have highlighted that there is a positive relationship between a company's CSR actions, the actions that we all take, and the satisfaction that is experienced by the stakeholders, and also their attitude, their perception of the image of the organization. And we feel that CSR activities are instrumental and also positively influence the company's brand perception when we engage with the communities around us, even with our customers or the entire ecosystem. Also what it does, that it helps us to establish ourselves as a more authentic organization. So these are some of the things which we think are important when we talk about how do we deal with our stakeholders. Some of the approaches that we have taken, and the approaches at JK Tyre, we are trying to classify them into two kinds of approaches. One we call as need-based CSR. I don't know whether Anupam has covered this or not, but I will just try to say that once again. So these need-based CSRs are more centered around our manufacturing locations or where we are present in those local communities. But beyond that, we also talk about business sustainability-based CSRs, which are more or less spread across the length and breadth of the country. So this is where we are able to have a much larger impact on the entire communities across the country. And what we also do is that we try to map out certain strategical, interventions that we would like to make, because we also have to be mindful of the communities that we are engaging with and the impact that we can have on each one of them. To give you a few examples, we as tire manufacturers, one of our customers, important stakeholders would be the drivers who drive the trucks and buses. So we keep on doing a lot of effort for them. One of the things that we have done is, we have started the eye care project. And this has been received very well by most of these, because for a driver to drive better, he needs to have a proper eyesight. We also engage with other stakeholders like the rubber plantations, the people who grow the rubber, because that is a very important input material for us. And we have initiated skill development projects which helps them enhance the productivity, the output, the efficiency, and thereby improve their earnings. So this is another project that has been undertaken. We have also taken certain local projects which are centered around the livelihood, water conservation based projects. We have also made efforts to be mindful of the environment, and in our own manufacturing processes, how do we consume the least amount of water? In fact, JK Tyres is an organization which consumes the least water in its manufacturing processes across all tire companies in the world. So this is something which we have been able to achieve, and I'm sure this helps the local communities also in that regard. So all these things keep on giving us a lot of satisfaction. We also engage with a lot of like-minded corporates, government agencies, NGOs, and also the local communities. So collaboration is something which is key, because we believe that we can do only so much on our own, but when we collaborate with the larger players who are also having the, we are in the same, our intent is the same, then we can make a much larger impact. One of the things that I should make a special mention of is that last year we had expanded our livestock development project to around 200 villages around our plant in Banmore, in the Morena area in Madhya Pradesh, targeting more than 1 lakh of people, and this was done in collaboration with NABARD, which is the National Bank of Agriculture and Rural Development. So this has also created a lot of goodwill for us in the entire local community. And it has also helped transform lives of more than 10,000 dairy farmers and re-establish their faith that dairy and agriculture can also be profitable. Talking further about the last but the very crucial part, and I think so HPS sir also covered it in the beginning, is the impact. the impact that we can make or create by our CSR efforts. So I would like to take a very famous, phrase which long back the famous management guru Peter Drucker had said, that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So if you have to manage something, you have to see that the performance is getting better. There should be certain matrices that help us measure. So I'm sure that all of you have understood that and you would be doing that. But happy to listen from all of you, work along with all of you in the future to see how we can kind of make this more impactful. And in TQM language, if I were to say, how do we rotate the PDCA? Because if you measure something, you can kind of do the corrective actions and therefore have further improvements. So CSR projects are no different than any other. I saw that there was a mention of SROI. So there is a return on investment that everybody expects, but it can be in various forms. So a lot of impact studies were being conducted. Anupam shared with me that we had assessment studies conducted with the Delhi School of Social Work and even in the Madras School of Social Work, and they were eye-openers on certain aspects. One of the aspects that came out is that one of the stakeholders, which is a quite important stakeholder in my opinion, the local youth, they were not positively engaged with our CSR efforts. So that insight came to us because we were able to go and do the assessment study. And therefore, it provides us a lot of inputs as to where we need to do. I always believe that we should not have the spray and pray approach, but we should do always sharp shooting. We should identify where the problem lies. Therefore, we'll be able to work more efficiently. And why not we practice the same thing when we do CSR? So again, as I said in the beginning, I am not here to preach to the Pope. All of you are experts in your own domains. So, but, happy to be here this afternoon. It was a pleasure to be amongst all of you. So I would like to conclude by a famous quote that businesses cannot be successful when the society around them fail. So we have to take care of the society, and therefore we can ensure that the businesses that we are in are definitely going to be not only successful, but also more sustainable over a longer period of time. So with these words, I again thank you, all of you, and look forward to working closely with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Though you were very clearly indicating that you didn't want to preach, but your words have been very much truthful. And as we really believe our CSR activities, we look for a sustainable growth to the society. Thank you very much. Now I request Srimati Deepa Gopalan Vadhva Madam to please take over the dais, and we look forward for your session as well. Thank you.
My first job always is to bring the mic down because I don't think I'm very tall. Well, I'm very happy to be here. Vinita ji, thank you so much for inviting me, and I think Sanjeev ji has really been very persistent in making sure that I was here. Very pleased to meet Srivats ji and here Mr. Katuria. I'm afraid I do not have the benefit of what happened yesterday and today, or neither the summing up. So you have to bear with me if I repeat some of the things that you have heard. And if it's getting a little boring, just just put your hand up and then I will move on. Because, for example, on SROI, I have some stuff to say, and I see that much of what has been covered, Mr. Katuria mentioned, is what is also I thought I would speak about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. I must say that you really are the practitioners. I see it from a completely different angle as an independent member of various boards, and I take a special interest in CSR. And it's initially, it was just something I thought, oh, they give it to me because I'm a woman. But later I found it so interesting, and I found that one could make a great difference. And so I really enjoy being part of the CSR committee as much as I enjoy being parts of other committees. So I think this is a very, very commendable initiative because, it's an initiative of the whole organization. And I haven't seen this happen anywhere. And the importance of this is that this really will help promote inter-company collaboration. There are other groups of companies where people kind of seem to be working in silos, but I don't know that they have such a process by which they meet, and this is, I understand, is the 5th conference that you're having. So I think this is really a very good initiative which will help to strengthen effectiveness and foster mutual learning, and also help to maximize and quantify the impact of CSR activities that have already been undertaken and that you are planning. So I'm going to talk a little more about the impact, because that's become the big buzzword now, than the other parts of the pillars of your conference, the stakeholders, and what was the second one was a collaboration. Yeah, briefly on collaboration too, I will mention. As you're aware, India was the first, and I don't know whether it's still the only country to incorporate mandatory CSR spending and reporting in national company law. And as we heard, this happened in 2013. From 2013, when it began, 2014-15, they were about, the expenditure was about 10,000 crores. And now it is about 26,000 crores. The figures that I got only were for 2021. And perhaps there might have been a dip because of COVID there. But that's the kind of progress. There are about 20,000 companies involved, every state and union territory of India. And there are about 40,000 CSR projects. So that is about the scope and the scale of what has happened in India ever since this was introduced. What has happened is not only do we have to undertake CSR projects, and you know what the criteria are, but also that they have to be monitored. And now they have introduced this thing of having social audits, so that more impact assessment. And also, as we just heard, ESG reporting. So the business responsibility reports have been now replaced by business responsibility and sustainability reports. So there's a whole focus on sustainability, which is where you will be reporting also, companies will be reporting on the ESG principles, which is environment, social, and governance. This all goes to show, to prove one thing, that the government looks on the business community as not only an integral, but a very, very important partner in national development, because I think that is really the final objective of what we're trying to do. However, CSR, I mean, we talk so much about it now, is not entirely a new concept at all. And, programs were carried out in the past, and as was mentioned, I think it was part of, charitable work or philanthropy, and one didn't look at it as CSR. The JK family itself, and I've had some sort of association with it for quite a long time, with the whole group, was really in the forefront of what is now we call CSR, is codified as CSR. But it has been very much in the DNA of this group, through word, through action, through the commitment to actually improve the conditions of particularly those who are at the bottom of the pyramid, those who are vulnerable, those who are, disadvantaged, and to ensure that they are educationally, economically empowered, and can really contribute and participate in society. Actually, I must say that many of the companies now in the forefront of CSR, and if you look at the list of companies, if you go to the CSR website of the ministry, you will find, but a number of them were also there before as leaders at the part of our freedom struggle. And so this was a kind of contribution, whatever you called it then, but this is a contribution that they made to our freedom struggle, and they continue to do so, particularly in the formative years of our country. There's a huge contribution made by these leading companies, and which continues now. So what I want to say is this is not something that is new. This is not something that has been foisted, but I think what the government has tried to do is to codify it. I know it brings in a lot of compliances, sometimes necessary and sometimes not so necessary, but there we are with it now. So as an independent director, as I said, what I have seen is I've been really amazed at the kind of work that's been done, and across the board. I'm not going to list out areas, but I mean, basically, education, skill, health, water, sanitation, environmental protection, there's such a huge range of issues. And the more one sees the good work being done, the more one realizes that there is so much more to be done. This is the whole thing, because I think the scale of needs is so much. And what one does also realize is that why CSR is so necessary is because certainly the government has objectives, it puts in a lot of money, it has programs, it has policies, has programs, has projects, but some of them are falling short. And one of the areas where I feel this most acutely is in education. Education is a state subject. And initially, when I was a member of CSR committee, I said, why are you doing projects to improve infrastructure of schools or get textbooks and so on? But this is what the state is supposed to do. And I opposed it till I went and saw it myself. And I said, oh my good Lord, there is a need for this, and we need to be there. And I think that also helps in a way that you are able to monitor what the government is doing or not doing. So I think that's very important. And the other thing I think we have to keep in mind is that not only the needs of India, but we have this great objective now set by our Prime Minister that we will be a developed country by 2047, which is not very far away, about 25 years, not even quite 25 years from now. And what does that really mean when you say developed countries? That you're going to really have to improve the standards of living of people. And that is a great challenge. Along with this also is another fact, and I think, I don't know, there are various estimates, but about 20% of our people are still live below the poverty line. But I think another thing about India is that we happen to be the youngest country in the world in terms of the median age of our population. This is looked on many, but even countries like China, where the population, as you know now, has been falling because of their one-child policy, and there's a lot of graying of population. So this is looked on perhaps as something as a very positive factor. It's looked on by us also as a very positive factor. We call it our demographic dividend. But again, all of you who are in the field will know what is this youth cohort and what uses it if they are not, first, if they don't get proper nutrition, so there's mental and physical development is not good to begin with. Then the skills, the education, the opportunities, that there's something, to be given to them so that they can really contribute to the country, to the economy, to the communities in which they live. I think this is a huge challenge. And this challenge, if we don't really look at it and realize that this could really set everything that we have done so far, all our achievements, it could really set it back if we don't really focus on this particular cohort. So I think it's very appropriate that in the last couple of days, I found that you were also talking about livelihood and youth engagement. And to get youth involved, I mean, not only have projects that focus and programs that focus on youth, but also get them involved in this process, I think is very important. Very briefly, I do want to again go back to saying that this concept of social responsibility is, again, nothing which has come from outside, but is very much part of the Indian ethos and civilization. And why I say this is also that, this particular, what we derive from our culture and, from our values that we have, was put into our constitution. And this has surfaced, and you can see it in two areas. One is fundamental rights, which is the right of every individual to a life of dignity, and political rights, which is not very directly involved, but it is also affected by CSR. And the other is fundamental duties. So I think most of us know about fundamental rights, but there is also a chapter on fundamental duties, which was, I think, introduced probably when Mrs. Gandhi was Prime Minister. Now, what has happened is that, when we introduced in the 2013 amendment to the Companies Act, and when we introduced this, the schedules on CSR, a lot of the activities actually coincide with the fundamental duties of our Constitution. So there's a connect in what we're doing. I mean, what the Constitution gives us as citizens, what the Constitution expects us to do back as citizens, and how they have put this and codified it as part of the CSR under the Act. I mention this because not many people are aware of this, that this is really the origin of it. For example, Article 21 of the Constitution, the right to life, lists basic necessities of life such as nutrition, clothing, shelter, protection of health, and right to medical aid, to that degree. And if you see the first on the list of permissible CSR activities in the schedule is to eradicate hunger, poverty, malnutrition, promote health, and including preventive health care, sanitation, and making available safe drinking water. So there is a very, very clear sort of consistency in what the state has wanted to do. And I think in the Constitution, our country, I think we're all participants as a part of a democracy. So this is something that is very important for us to keep in mind as we do, as we work on CSR. Then I think it was mentioned, and I'm sure it's been mentioned the last couple of days, that CSR is not something that has been comes as a burden, an additional burden to companies. There have been several studies, and I was surprised as I was preparing this paper to see some of these studies to show the benefits of CSR. And this has been documented, and this is part of serious studies, which includes improvement in financial performance. So, companies are really there not to do CSR, and I've heard people say this, but the effect of CSR is reflected in the bottom lines. It has resulted in reduction in operating costs, certainly enhanced reputation, visibility, and brand image. I think you also perhaps spoke about it yesterday. Increased market capitalization, stakeholder involvement and satisfaction, customer loyalty. But I think one very important part of it, which I really like, is the fact is that it is strengthened the employer brand of companies who are serious about CSR. So as very young people like you all are probably much more socially conscious than my generation was. So I think there's a certain attraction to come and work in a company which does serious CSR work. So this helps not only in recruitment but also in retention. And then the other benefits of CSR are, better support that you get from local communities, but not only local communities, but also at the national level, and certain now increasingly, global communities when you work on good projects. And this part of the ESG is that, it will help one to get easier access to capital. And help in general the growth of the organization. So this is, very tangible, direct benefits of CSR which have been established. So we put money into CSR, but I think one of the important things that happened was in the initial years was that, this was mandatory, you had to pay this 2%, of the average profits of the last 3 years, and everybody did it. But now that we are almost going to complete a decade, I think people are looking more into the impact, and also in terms of are these investments effective? Are they bringing about change? And how do we look and how do we measure these the change? And I myself have been associated with companies that do this exercise internally, but have increasingly, without any requirement, this is a new requirement, also use external agencies to do social audits. And I've interacted with some of those agencies. It's extremely interesting to see how they go about it, getting primary, data, of course, they get from their beneficiaries, but secondary data also, and how they're doing these reports. So that's a very interesting exercise, which I would recommend to any company which is serious about CSR. So such audits also look at SROI, which is social return on investment, which measures the value created in social and environmental terms and represents it in monetary terms. I'm not going to elaborate on it, as I think you all have had, you've perhaps heard about it, so I'm not going to speak about it, but you know the importance of SROI. And when you do these social audits, they do, they give you SROI ratios in the process of doing it. There's some others in trying to measure impact. They also use what I found, which is they call a 5R framework, which is to determine the impact of CSR. And this is the impact of CSR on an organization. These 3 R's are, I won't elaborate, you will understand revenue, and I spoke about it. I mean, how's the bottom line, the top and the bottom line doing? Reputation of the company, recruitment, which I mentioned, retention, and relationships, and so relationships with all the stakeholders down the line. So this is another framework in which they determine how CSR is working to benefit them. Another framework which I saw used to measure performance, effectiveness, and outcomes of individual interventions goes by an acronym which is REESS. Are you aware of it? I mean, someone heard about it? Did you speak about it recently? Is it something, anyone has heard about this? Okay, I'll just tell you what it is. Because it was used by one of these social audit companies, so I just thought I should mention it and maybe something that you would like to look at. So one R stands for relevance, which looks at the relevance and the significance of that particular intervention. The first E is for effectiveness, which studies whether the planned objectives are being achieved. The third is efficiency, whether objectives are being achieved economically. Because sometimes you can put a lot of money into a particular program and the beneficiaries are limited. And sometimes that same money can go a long way. Of course, there's also quality and the different kinds of inputs. But I think it is important also to look at the aspect of how far our investments go. Then sustainability. Are the impacts both positive and importantly, are they sustainable? I mean, is it a one-time thing or is it sustainable? In which case, do you have sustainability plans to make sure that you can continue with those? And the fifth is social impact. Does the intervention contribute to social change? And what is the impact on the directly on the primary stakeholders? Thus, it is seen that the trend is not only to fulfill one's statutory obligations in implementing CSR projects and programs, but also ensure that they benefit the company, society, direct beneficiaries, and national goals. In working with some of these with the companies, I just made a list of some points I thought which were helpful certainly to me in trying to advise how to make CSR projects of a company more impactful. One was to make sure that there's a CSR policy, and I think everybody does have a CSR policy, most companies have, but also to make sure that you keep reviewing it and keep looking at it and seeing, whether you need to add something to it, you need to take something off from it. The second thing was to have a dedicated team for both ideation, so a dedicated CSR team for ideation and for execution. Choose partners with great care, because most of you work with collaborators, with others, with NGOs and so on. So it's very important that these partners have to have proven records. Then identify key beneficiary cohorts and undertake need assessment of projects before implementation. So it's important that not to do it as one goes along, but to really prepare before you go into the implementation mode. Then schedule periodic stakeholder meets. Both which are scheduled and which are non-scheduled. I think it's very important to have a lot of visits to the sites to make sure that what is the impact, are the beneficiaries really benefiting from this, and what is their progress. Have a feedback mechanism. I think Mr. Kathuria just spoke about a feedback mechanism because, if something is not going right, you need to do course correction and make sure that you can correct it as it's going and take corrective action. I mentioned the internal impact assessment and also this independent external social audits earlier. And then I think very important is encourage volunteerism among employees. This is something very positive. And in a particular company where I was, where I was director, an IT company, what they did was they did a huge afforestation projects, which is a part of a very large project in a state. But they made each employee, on their birthday, they were presented with a particular a tree that was planted was presented to them, and they had to monitor that tree year after year, So it became kind of something that they got involved in. And I found a lot of, that everyone got quite excited about the project because each one had their own tree. So something which not only that encourages employee volunteerism, but also makes it interesting for them to be part of this whole process. And then, of course, since I do sit on a board, I think board oversight is important, and the board side also to be interested in what goes on, because we look at everything else. But I think CSR is extremely important, and therefore, board members need to get more involved and see what is happening and be able to really guide the CSR work of a company, and also make sure that the CSR reports are good. As companies join in our national efforts, we have the Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, and these are goals that were set by the UN for 2030. I think we've fallen back on a lot of them because of COVID. But we do have some standards that we should try and aspire for. In addition, of course, we have our own national goals, and which are getting more and more ambitious. And that's good in a way because it pushes and in a way makes one work harder. And this is basically eradication, poverty, protection of environment. Now climate change is a big thing. So what can one do in terms of, climate change has many, many aspects to it, renewable energy, the mitigation side of it if you're in such an industry. So there are many aspects to it, but that is very important to be conscious of this. So these all can be, considered, and these are measures which one needs to undertake, and also becomes something that one will need to see, the impacts in terms of how well the company is doing on these particular parameters. I know that you all work in CSR, and you're quite aware of the areas, and you're doing what you're doing effectively. But I thought, what could I add? There's very little I perhaps know what I'm going to say, but some of the areas that, just one or two ideas that I thought I would leave with you as something that if not done, one could do, if doing, one could do more, is to partner with government. Now, I am not somebody I used to work with the government for many years, but not because of that. But I think basically the responsibility of development of a country belongs to the state. And this could be the center, it could be the states. But the point of partnering with government is that if you align at least part of your CSR projects with government schemes and initiatives, I think what happens is that there's a multiplier effect. That is what interests me, because you see, they already come in with resources, there is certain groundwork done. What we can is improve on that hugely, so that multiplier with much less investment is something that I see in being able to align ourselves with CSR projects of government. I mentioned the education example of the schools that are supposed to be run by governments, which they really fall short of. At the end of the day, it's not to say really, as I wrongly did before, and saying this is their job. It isn't. If they don't do it, then we are there to be able to fill the gap. The other thing is to create collaborations, of course, within the group itself, as you all are doing now, but also outside, and Mr. Kathuria mentioned this, to maximize impact. And I'll tell you a very interesting way of this collaboration. Of course, there are many collaborations that can work with larger projects. But one was interesting that one of the companies that I was doing was heart surgery for very, very tiny infants, just about, newly born infants, and of the poorer class of people who could never afford it. So there was a very interesting triangular collaboration. That was Apollo Hospital. They would pay part of it. And this is done in Tamil Nadu. So the government of Tamil Nadu would pay part of it. And then there was a shortfall. And so this particular company with whom I was associated was taking care of that shortfall. And as a result of this collaboration, I think we were able to, in fact, cover a whole lot of more children. So I think those are the kinds of things also one has to have, open your mind to. And then technology is the buzzword of all our lives. So I think to look out for technology-enabled social solutions, because perhaps they will ensure greater efficiency. These were some of the ideas I just wanted to leave with you. In concluding, let me congratulate Vinita ji and all of you all who are present here for being associated with a company which has established such a stellar record of CSR. As I prepared for the talk, and I was reading about the philosophy and in a more of a historical perspective also, I accessed a quote from Jamshedji Tata, who was the founder of the Tata Group, which was more than a century ago. And I thought that was relevant even today. I'll just leave that quote with you. And he said, in a free enterprise, the community is not just another stakeholder in business, but is in fact the very purpose of its existence. So I think our principal duty really is to the community, and I'm glad that all of you are doing a great job, and I'm sure if I had time to interact with you, I would learn a lot from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. The read material, what you prepared for us, it really shows your motto towards the society and how here this corporate social responsibility is. So what I would just reiterate, ma'am. The read material, what you prepared for us, and your intention very clearly shows your like to the society, and we all live with the motto to contribute a bit to the society. Thank you so much. Now I request Shri Srivatsi to address us, please, sir. Maybe some few words. Thank you. Ma'am, over to you. We're really waiting to hear from you.
I have nothing to say, but then something to say. A very, very good afternoon to you all. And I thank Deepaji very much from bottom of her heart that she accepted this, my invitation to come here and give us our insight of CSR. She's so experienced and so well versed in this world of business and also CSR that she was a very apt speaker for us. Thank you, Deepaji, for accepting this. We are very honored for that. Anuj Kathoria ji, thank you for sparing your valuable time to give to these young people who have come here under one roof to listen to you, what we are doing internally. And also, Shrivats, thank you for coming. Mr. Sanjeev Jha, he's taken upon this as a convener, and I think he's done a wonderful job by having good speakers and also sharing his thoughts on it. So thank you very much, and I welcome all the dignitaries on the dais and also my young fellow colleagues who have come from different places under one roof to share and also learn new things, which maybe we are aware of it, but when we listen to something, I think we reinvent ourselves and start doing something which is very different, that which is not that thing which we have been doing, but something very different. So I welcome you all here, and I admire your patience that for two days you have been listening and also absorbing. My only humble request to you all people is that whatever you have learned for 2 days, I think if we implement one of the ideas which suits you or suits your areas, I think we should implement it and not just sit back and just come here to listen and go back home and do the same thing again and again. I think you people have listened to a lot of things about ESG and SRIO, whatever it is, and other things. I don't think so. I want to elaborate on it. My thought today is very, very different. Maybe I think we have to touch that aspect in a very different way, and also we have to learn how to go in that particular area where we feel it makes a lot of difference. So I will like to speak upon women things. So I believe the empowering woman is essential to the health and the social development of families, communities, and countries. When women are living safe, fulfilled, and productive lives, they can reach their full potential by contributing their skills at workplace and can raise happier and healthier children. Because children is what we need to be very rounded up, and because they are the future generation who will take India to a higher level of whatever our Prime Minister has in mind. So this is a very important aspect to me, at least. And I believe what Mahatma Gandhi ji had said way back, that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate an entire family. This is a very, very powerful statement which he had made, and I can see that wherever we see that educated woman, whether it is on the underprivileged society or wherever, it makes a lot of difference to the whole gambit of family environment, and it teaches us a long thing. So we have to imbibe that in our own way. And I see so many young girls sitting here. I think they should take this back home and try to develop something for the women to become more powerful within themselves. Because just as in Hindi we say that Istri is very strong, right? She is the Shakti of the entire universe. So we have to take that into our stride. I know you will feel that being a woman, I'm talking about woman, but since you have heard so much about other factors, that I would like to touch more and more on women and girls, because that is the need, and I've practically seen that there is a lot many things which we can do in our own working environment or near our plants. If I sit down here and start telling you the stories, it is horrifying. I mean, one cannot take it. So I believe that. So we have to invest. The investment in girls and women education and skilling is the only path to drive national prosperity. I know that our various CSR team are doing great job in education, skilling and livelihood projects for women and girls, which will definitely bring some sustainable change. But if you look at the data, you will find that India has slipped 28th place to 40th position amongst the 156 countries in Global Gender Gap Report of 2021, which lays down the silent crisis of gender inequality that creates huge gender discrimination like girl-child marriage, teenage pregnancy, child domestic work, poor education and health, sexual abuses and exploitation and violence. This shows that where we stand as on today. Statistics shows that only one girl out of three, 33% in rural India, is able to complete their 10 years of schooling against 45% of boys. About 58% of women in rural India and 55% women in urban India are anemic in the age group of 15 to 49 years respectively. While for male, the data is the same age group, varies from 25 to 33% in rural and urban areas. I feel to overcome such problem, the appearance of girl should be more valued in the family and society, as the girls' education level have a strong correlation with other development indicators like infant mortality, nutritional status, easy access to quality health care, and frequency of domestic violence and abuses. Though sustainable development goals has been set for gender equality by 2030, wherein even emphasis will be given on CSR investment in girls' education and a reduction in anemia. But also it is our duty that all CSR team will design some impactful CSR project addressing these two women and girls issues, and I put out our best efforts in building more gender equality committees, at least in and around our group companies and plant locations. Presently, the integrated family welfare program like Naya Savera and Parivartan has given significantly contributed to the improvement of women and girls complex issues like mother and infant mortality, immunization of children, and increased institutional deliveries in some of the most challenging areas, which is in a matter of great pride. Last but not the least, I wish for taking forward your CSR projects, more readdressing the women and girls issues, that we will help to eradicate a gender discrimination which is a sin in our society. At the last, I would like to really thank you all for taking out time with your busy schedule. I know you are eager to go back home, but under one roof, when you interact with others, you learn a lot. And I definitely feel that you will gain a lot of knowledge and experience by learning from other units what they are doing in a very small way. I know JK organization does not have a very huge budget for CSR, but if we can manage in this kind of budget so many activities, which I feel very, very proud that each one here who is so passionate, who's so committed and dedicated in their passion to do CSR. I feel very, very elated. And I think when I look around here, the youngsters who have come forward, it gives you a great boost. And I feel very confident that whatever our thinking is, or what are you thinking, I think you will do it more perfectly and come up to the expectations of other senior directors at JKO. So I wish you all my very, very best. Please do not take this as a one-off one of a kind of conference, but do something impactful, which shows that these CSR conferences which are being done can give you a lot of experience and a lot of things. If you have any questions, if you have any point of disagreement on anything, I think you should have that courage to stand up and do tell us. Because see, if you tell us, we will be more, you are nearer to the working place, you can tell us your views, your things more impactfully than what we think at sitting in the head office. So do kindly interact with everyone, learn from them. Do not feel that we are at the logger's end or we feel shy about it. I think knowledge is always taken, not given. So please interact, do your best for the society, and I think JK organization will rise to a higher occasions and higher heights. For that, we are very, very thankful to you all for your commitment, for your passion, and for your dedication. Thank you very much. All my very best. And I think I forgot to tell you that I want to wish all of you who are sitting here a very, very, very happy New Year to you. All of you. You have full prosperity, have a robust family, and enjoy your life as if this is the last day of my life. So think about it, be happy, be safe, enjoy yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just take a minute. It's been a decade I'm with the family. So initial days of my career when I joined JKO, I was to come to corporate office for a meeting, I think for a talent conference. So I just tried to do my homework in understanding the family. So few of my peers basically, I just was very anxious to know about you. So one thing which had come out was your like for women empowerment. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's really a privilege to be associated with the family and the group. Thank you very much. Now I request Mr. Rajendra to come over to the dais and present the green certificate to Srimati Benita Singhania, madam.
I think I will be taking everything with me to you.
Now I request Mr. Sanjeev to come forward to extend the green certificate to Deepa, madam, please. Now over to you, Mr. Sanjeev. The floor is yours for the concluding session.
No, I was just thinking that, sometime the advantage of starting on time is that you are left with some time in your hand. And ma'am, with all of your permission, I will take another 15 to 20 minutes that. Earlier we were supposed to close this at 4. We'll close this in next 15 minutes. This is what I can commit you. And why I wanted to do this, because I few things I must speak about all the participants about this entire program. This, the theme has been collaboration, ma'am. And this fifth Intercompany CSR conference has really reflected the true nature of the collaboration that we have. With this conference preparation, I remember, ma'am, first of all, in the month of June, you had, asked me to start, thinking in terms of doing this fifth CSR conference. So what happened after that? That I remember sometime in the month of July, I sent a quick mail and, the team invite to Kirti, to Janardhan sir, to Anupam, Praful, Kapil Kaul sir, and some other colleagues. And so we had a first meeting in the month of July itself. And after that, we had done the preparation. So, and eventually what had happened that whatever we have been doing since last 2 days, lots of insights and input has gone into the field, ma'am. And I think that I very strongly believe that if this program, and since many of you have been coming to me and have been telling me that this program has been fantastic, with all due humility I am expressing myself to you in front of all of you, that this program has been success. If this program has been success and has gone seamless, the credit goes to each of you who are sitting in this room. Because this truly reflects the kind of collaboration that we have. Another thing that I wanted to speak, not as a part of vote of thanks, I will come a little late, that, if you start, preparation since last 6 months, you are into something, you are doing, trying to do, you are trying to collaborate, you are trying to organize this, all the logistics part, the softer part of the conference, and all of a sudden then you are at the fag end of the program and you are going to deliver a closing address. Suddenly you become emotionally vacuum. It feels that, something has gone very quickly out of you. And why this sense happens, creep up, that you are into so much immersed into something since so long, and you feel that now it is going to close. So that while I, regain some part of this, that what is it that going to tell, and but before that, I wanted also, ma'am, to invite few participants and the colleagues to give their feedback of last 2 days, so that all of us, if one or two of you, if you could come forward and express that how was the conference itself, before I, put my final vote of thanks. Any one of you? Janardhan sir, you wanted to speak? The mic, please. Sir, सामने आ जाइए.
Thank you. First of all, my sincere thanks to the management of JK organization for organizing such a wonderful CSR conference, all coming under one roof. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all the directors of the organization. It has been a wonderful learning for all of us. The 2 days, we feel that has gone like anything. We could not find a time, and we have a lot of learnings done. The great part of this program was that it was conducted with the involvement of all the stakeholders, as Mr. Sanjeev said. It was planned in consultation with everybody. Everybody's input was taken in. And what was more important, that every location, plant location, were given chances to present and showcase their initiatives, their activities. Although we were running behind time schedule, but nobody was forced. And everybody was given the chance, time. We extended a little extra. And we could learn a lot of best practices from that crisscross learning. We also had some of the good programs from the external speakers, which were very relevant, like talking about the return impact assessment. We got some inputs from the external speaker, Manju ma'am. We also have a very important session by Mr. Nikhil Pant, which was very relevant today because government is very closely monitoring all the CSR initiatives. And this was well insight given by us, what are the government's objectives, guidelines, which we should be aware and we should be able to, as part of the CSR team, helping the top management, guide them to take corrective actions. And we also have some insight from the CAI industry perspective on the ESG role. Overall, it was a wonderful day. I thank all my directors, team, colleagues who have joined here. We had a good interaction with each other, although we have been talking to them only on the digital platform. Of course, due to COVID, but now we had a platform to interact with everybody, know each other, know each other's initiatives, the strengths, the success and all. Not the least, I must thank Sanjeev and Anupam and his team for the good hospitality, which will always carry with us. The more important thing, what is for all of us is, as a partner of you all, what we have learned here, we should go and put into practice the best practices. That is all the fittest gratitude and the give back we will give to the top management. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to all. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Deepa, ma'am. I'm associated with the industry, with our organization and with our family for the 20 years. And from the date of adult literacy program, we have this intercompany CSR conferences. And the last 2 days, as everybody said, we never had any gap or we never have felt anything. And the speakers were more concerned about how we will behave after lunch. But we all were very enthusiastic and very, it was, as mentioned, we are looking for stakeholder collaboration impact. And this conference is impactful for every one of us. And we heard a lot about Vinitha ji ma'am and Deepa ma'am. And today we felt like in person how we all are. We are in the great family. We are associated with the great family. Thank you to Anuj Katriya sir. Now in his speech, how we wanted to implement all the things in JK Tyre and our organization. Thank you to Sivasab sir. And many thanks to all the participants here. And we would, as mentioned requested by Sanjeev Jha sir and accepted by Kapil Kaul sir, we also plan to visit all our locations, intercompany and other locations, to learn our practices so that the best practices are implemented in all our organizations. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, madam, and respected dignitaries on the dais. In fact, now I feel really connected with each other after this CSR conference. 3 things made me more excited for last 2 days. And I think it is truly I can say that the kind of information shared last 2 days, let me see that we are working in 100 districts, 17 states, 20,000 women. And most of our districts are aspirational. And that's where we connected to the national objectives. Now, out of 112 aspirational districts, our districts almost cover 50 to 60% of aspirational districts. That's one of the features really excites more to me. And we can take these insights and work better in the field. The second point is, as all of you have expressed since yesterday, that SDG and other parameters, which has been, though it is, we have seen all locations, we have not been equal in that frame, but SDG is truly integrated into our programs. And it's already process-oriented. That is one of the trend we get. If you can compare the other companies, CSR, and I think after seeing this, our CSR thing, it is truly transformational, strategic, and impact investing kind of things. We are not just giving the money kind of things, it is giving the results, and impact is quite better. So having said that, I can say at JK Paper or in other sites, this 2 days experience make us more connected, and we can exchange this thing further to take it better and make more impacts in the ground. And I think I personally took a lot of insights from this 2 days conference. Thank you very much, Sanjeev and the team, and giving this chance to be part of the things. And thank you, madam. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
So thank you, Praful. Last 2 we will do because I have some commitment with the management on the people on the dais. Last 2 I will take, and then we will close this.
Please.
Good afternoon, all the respected dignitaries on the dais and friends. These last 2 days have been very exciting for us and for our whole team. When the mail itself came on our inbox that this conference is going to be organized, and we got so much excited that from all factory locations, all CSR team will come and we will present all the hard work which we are doing in rural areas and in villages. It gives a sense of pride for every team members present here that whatever good work they are doing in silos or in their factory location, they are getting the opportunity to present to a larger audience and the opportunity to learn from each other's best practices. And this was really motivating for us, and we have learned a lot of new ideas from all the factory locations presentations. And thank you so much to the organization for providing these opportunities, because I work in JK Paper head office, and we have 3 factory locations, and we rarely get an opportunity to meet physically in person. So this gave us an opportunity to interact with our colleagues and other factory locations. So thank you so much to the management and to the team who has planned this idea. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Praveen was interned with me in 2013 from BIMTech. And ever since, he has been wanting to work with us. So last year, we got an opportunity to induct him in our company.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everybody, for giving me this opportunity to join this conference. I joined JK Lakshmi Cement Sirohi plant in the month of July 2022. Since then, we have so many discussions about CSR, what we have been doing in JKLC, and so many projects were discussed with Sanjeev sir and team of other plant locations. And we were thinking of designing some different project, and from where we'll get the idea, how we'll implement this. So many things were coming into my mind and my team's mind. So when I came in this conference, then when I started looking at the length and breadth of the project, locations, villages, etc., then I thought all my answers are lying in this room only. For example, when the project presentation started, some of the good convergence projects were discussed from JK Paper. So many leveraging, so many projects from the government support, etc. That was a very fantastic learning and understanding for me. Then about the coverage of villages, like we walk in 10 villages somewhere 5 villages, but some of the projects or some of the plants are working in 100 villages, 75 villages, 4 villages. So that idea also, I try to understand why we are into so many of the villages. So that was kind of different understanding for me. Then some of the project, like business specific project, like UDL presented something like a whole gamut of supply chain, cooperative, FPO, federations and self-help group, etc. I try to understand why the project was started for the supply chain, whether it's linked with the business sector, same about the TAR and all the projects. And the last PSRI, which we were knowing, and many of our health project which we are doing, the answers were in our room only, and PSRI people said it very beautifully. So, though we are saying कि हमारा budget क्या है क्या नहीं है, लेकिन understanding learning इतना ज़्यादा है कि just I think I am fortunate to be part of the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and okay. Please, very quickly.
Yeah. Good evening to all of you. I will not take much time. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to all the delegates. And I am very happy that I got opportunity to present the presentation. I'm working in the Surat region, in the JK paper. And I think that, by interacting in this conference, I think that I will get more motivation to work in the CSR department. Actually, I joined this organization 1 month back. But I'm trying that through the government scheme, which we are target 14.5 crore. So we are just targeting, we have to raise more impact so that government also recognize that JK Paper is doing best work. So this is the word which I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you. I could understand that each of you want to speak, but we are running short of time. In next 10 minutes, I have to close. Okay, sir, last one requesting you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jagdish. I am from Bikram Tire Plants. This conference is very wonderful conference. When I came here, I came to know that people are interacting among themselves and presenting their project. My one suggestion is that we should have an inter-organization contest. We should submit the paper before this conference. The best CSR could be RO or REACH could be awarded in this, so that there will be competition among the team, so that the best out of us can come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And definitely we will take your suggestion, very good suggestion, sir, that we need to document somewhere the best practices, ma'am, across the organization, and then that could be circulated among all the companies so that each of us could learn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I at least need to express few gratitude and thanks to few people, because lots of people inputs, insights have gone inside behind the preparation of this entire. First of all, lots of thanks and gratitude to you, ma'am, first of all, because on day-to-day basis, just for all of you to understand that on day-to-day basis, I have her guidance and direction in terms of what is it that you have done, and many things I was not even knowing, because first time that I have been given the responsibility from Prem sir also, that you people, you coordinate, and I didn't have much idea. I had only participated in Raigad as a participant, and as a participant, you are always very free, you do not need to worry about anything, go, attend, eat and sleep. So that was my understanding in 2018 Raigad or 19 probably. So day-to-day basis insights, kaise karna hai, what is it that you need to do, I'm going threadbare and giving insights so that you are fully ready. Ma'am, coming from the deep of the heart, gratitude and thanks to you. Then lots of gratitude and thanks to HPSR also, because I understand that his one interaction, at least one interaction, which gave me lots of insights how to do and how to go about this, how to structure. So lots of gratitude to HPSR also. Prem sir has also, given lots of insights, inputs in terms of organizing the conference. Thank you, sir, for all your support and encouragement. And that is the reason why we have been able to do this. The gratitude and thanks to the entire DICs of the JKO, because without their belief and faith across the organization, we have not been able to do. My personal gratitude to all the president and the directors also, presidents at the plant level and the plant heads, the president sitting in the, in the head office, particularly Anuj Kathuria, you, sir, because in one, you were very busy. I was finding it difficult. You were actually finding it difficult to, to give me the time, but I very successfully approached you, and you very, cordially discussed about this, and you accepted our invitation, sir. So thanks and gratitude to you, sir. And we really benefited your from your insight also, sir. Now, Deepa madam, to you, lots of gratitude, ma'am. And this really means, because I remember, you have been traveling. Today also you were traveling. Today itself you came from Bangalore. We had all the apprehension whether the flight will land on the time or not. But you managed it, ma'am. And while a good learning for me, the kind of preparation that you had done during your flight from Bangalore to Delhi, all the notes, it's a good learning for us. Most of the time, what we do in the flight, look at, watch some movies on the Netflix and all that, and this is how we spend our time. It's a good learning, ma'am. So good to know that. And your particularly your emphasis as an independent director and giving us the perspective, ma'am, it gives a lot of understanding and insight to us, ma'am. And particularly you talked about 5R framework, then you also talked about, ma'am, REESS framework, and you also gave lots of insight on, the effectiveness understanding, the performance understanding, and the impact understanding. We as a group, we will take them forward, ma'am. Definitely those are highly replicable, and we will take them forward, ma'am. Once again, gratitude and thanks to you, ma'am. Now, and lots of admin support has gone into this program. And from all the including the Rakesh Rampal sir, he has been a huge support in terms of, giving us this hotel. It was not, during the January and December, and this I must, tell all of you, it is a marriage season, kind of a marriage, full months marriage season in Delhi, NCR, Greater Noida, no hotels available. But he put lots of effort and gave this at a very, very reasonable cost. So thanks to Rakesh Rampal sir, including all the admin heads of the different companies, whether it is JK Paper, JK Tire, Fener, all of them give good things to put inside the kit, which was, everybody was very happy to receive that, kit. So lots of gratitude and thanks to all of them. And lastly, two things. One is that, Manish and a special, thanks and very hard work Manish and Sonia has put into this. I think they deserve, deserve a good round of applause from all of you. The people at our guest house, it is not easy to handle, such a big crowd at one point of time, serving them, the breakfast at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, coming there. Lots of gratitude to thanks to our, guest house people who are managing and who helped us in terms of starting this entire program yesterday on time. If I have missed anybody's name, this kind of program is not possible without many people contribution and teamwork. If I have missed anything, my personal apology to that. But on that note, it is 3:39, ma'am. I'm going to wrap up. Once again, thanks, gratitude to all of you. I hope that each of us have benefited. We have few takeaways from out of that. Cross-learning and employee volunteering is something that we are going to work on, ma'am. Apart from technology adoption and impact, and we are also going to we have documented the brainstorming session, the entire report. We are going to convert everything into this a process document, and we will circulate, ma'am. On the last thing, we have really benefited 48 participants in this room. Take at least 10 years of, I am taking only 10 years of average professional experience that converts into approximately 500 years of experience. For a group like JKO, it's many companies would not dare to come near to this. 450, 500 years of experience coming under a roof, doing a deliberation on CSR. Please understand, this is my assurance for myself. We are working with a great organization where the commitment is something that we, all of us, do understand. Let us take forward the CSR agenda of the group forward with all our ability and, ambitions. Thank you once again. In last, I will request everybody to please stand up for the national anthem. With that, we will close this. Please.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे।